Good morning. This meeting of the SERS Board of Directors is now being recorded for record-keeping purposes. By participating in this session, you are consenting to the recording, retention, and future viewing of this meeting. This meeting is now also being live-streamed. Thank you very much.
And thank you, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting of the Pennsylvania State Employees Retirement System to order, our regular board meeting of June 9th, 2021. To the millions watching on our live stream, I'm Dave Philman, the board chairman of the State Employees Retirement System, one of the oldest public plans in the United States since 1923. If anyone has ever been part of a program for a convention or a seminar, and you've seen the script for that, you'll see letters that says VOG. And I didn't know what it was at first, and then I learned that it was the voice of God. It's the person that you hear, but you don't necessarily see all the time. Our voice of God is Don Bell of the executive staff, and he also coordinates our live stream events. Thank you, Don, for your help. I work with a great board of directors and board of trustees. And with that, Terry Sanchez, our SERS executive director and board secretary, will take a roll call. Terry.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay, let's get started then. Mr. Becker.
Present.
Senator DeSanto.
Chuck Erdman, designee for Senator DeSanto.
Thank you, Chuck. Chair Philman.
Present.
Representative Frankel, or is it Dan Ockel for Representative Frankel?
I believe he's in a health committee meeting.
Okay.
We're about to go into health committee. Dan Octo, designee for Representative Frankel.
Thank you, Dan. Treasurer Garrity.
I'm here.
Thank you. Senator, is it Tony Marchowski for Senator Hughes today?
Here.
Thank you, Tony. Mr. Jordan.
Here.
Representative Schammel.
Susan Boyle for Representative Schemmel.
Thank you, Susan. Ms. Soderberg.
Here.
Mr. Thal.
Here.
And do we have Secretary Vague?
Here.
Thank
Great.
you, Secretary. Okay, that's it, Chairman. We have representation for all seats.
Thank you, Terry. We need now a motion as an order to adopt the agenda for the June 9, 2021 board meeting. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
I hear a second. Anyone in the question? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. And also a motion is in order to approve the consent calendar items as listed for the June 9th, 2021 board meeting. Motion, please.
So moved.
I hear a motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Anyone on the question? Hearing none. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carried. With that, we'll go right into our committee reports. The first one up is Chair Soderberg for Defined Contribution Committee. Mary?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This may be the last report of the Defined Contribution Committee. We met yesterday morning at 8 a.m. Yesterday morning at 9 a.m., June 8th, and the first order of business was to approve the minutes of our meetings from February 24th and 25th of 2021. We had two items of business to discuss. The first item was dealing with the deferred compensation plan document amendments, and Deputy Chief Counsel Kathy Nolan reviewed the changes, primarily dealing with fee changes that we approved at our March 25th meeting. And those changes will be referred to as the Sixth amended and restated deferred compensation plan. The next item of business was the discussion of the potential elimination of the Defined Contribution Committee. And Deputy Executive Director for Administration, Chris Houston, led this discussion. And the issue is that the assignments and responsibilities of this committee directly overlap both the Investment Committee and the Finance and Member Services Committee, to the extent that in March we actually had to have a joint meeting with the Finance and Member Services Committee when we were discussing fees. And there have been other times when one of the other committees has taken action and then we've had to take action dealing with the defined contribution pieces of our benefits. So the committee discussed this yesterday, and we were unanimous with the recommendation that we should dissolve the defined contribution committee and distribute its responsibilities between the investment committee and the finance and member services committee. So with that, I have two motions to offer, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Okay. The first motion is I move that the State Employees Retirement Board accept the recommendation of the Defined Contribution Committee to amend the Fifth Amended and Restated Deferred Compensation Plan for officers and employees of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, attached hereto and labeled Attachment A, in accordance with Board motion on March 25th, 2021. 2. 1. Provide for charging plan participants whose account balance exceeds $5,000 a monthly flat fee of $1 and an annual asset-based fee of 2 basis points of the participant's account balance, not to exceed $50 annually, with both the flat fee and the appropriate portion of the asset-based fee to be withheld on a monthly basis from individual investment accounts effective July 1, 2021. Number 2, provide for reducing the third-party administrative fee for all participants from $4.95 to $4.65 per month effective July 1, 2021. And 3, retitle the plan document accordingly as the Sixth Amended and Restated Deferred Compensation Plan for officers and employees of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. That is the first motion, sir.
It's been properly moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. With that, a roll call vote, please.
Thank you. Mr. Becker?
Aye.
Chuck Erdman on behalf of Senator DeSanto?
Aye.
Chair Philman?
Aye.
Dan Ockel on behalf of Representative Frankel?
Aye.
Treasurer Garrity?
Aye.
Tony Marchowski on behalf of Senator Hughes?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Susan Boyle on behalf of Representative Schemmel?
Actually, I'm Representative Schemmel. I'm here.
Oh, very good.
Thank
Thank you, Representative.
Thank
Ms.
you.
Soderberg?
Aye.
Mr. Thal?
Aye.
And Secretary Vague?
Aye.
I believe I have everyone there, and it's unanimous.
Okay. Chairman?
Yes. Okay. The second motion deals with the potential elimination of the Defined Contribution Committee. This would be just the first step in the process, and the board and staff would have to take action that might take several more months. Anyway, the motion is, I move that the State Employees Retirement Board accept the recommendation of the Defined Contribution Committee to eliminate the Defined Contribution Committee as a standing committee to be effective upon board approval of amendments to the Investment Committee and Finance and Member Services Committee charters, assuming the responsibilities of the Defined Contribution Committee as appropriate, consistent with the purpose and responsibilities of those committees, after receiving input from the Board of Governance and Personnel Committee, an amendment to the board's bylaws to eliminate the Defined Contribution Committee as a standing committee. And that's the second motion.
It's been properly moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Anyone on the question? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Becker?
Aye.
Chuck Erdman on behalf of Senator DeSanto?
Aye.
Chair Philman?
Aye.
Dan Ockel on behalf of Representative Frankel?
Aye.
Treasurer Garrity?
Aye.
Tony Marchowski on behalf of Senator Hughes?
Aye.
And Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Representative Schemmel?
Aye.
Ms. Soderberg?
Aye.
Mr. Thal?
Aye.
Secretary Vague?
Aye.
The vote is unanimous in favor. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, that concludes my report. I would like to point out, I should have done this earlier, that my report is posted on Board Docs for access by all of the committee board members and staff. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. We'll now go on to the Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee. Chair Thal.
Thank you, Chairman. The Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee, the report's also on Board Docs. We met yesterday at 9:30 a.m. We had a full member, all the members of the committee were there, as well as various staff. Our first order of business after approval of committee minutes and roll call was to talk about Act 128 of 2020, specifically the new requirement upon us to do a 5-year internal control audit of the system. It was part of our discussion. It was decided that we need to dig further into the legislative intent just to determine what the desired scope of this internal audit should be before we figure out how to proceed. After that, we went into executive session to discuss a couple of items. We had our KPMG, our independent auditors, present to us their audit report, which will be the subject of a motion upcoming. We talked about our financial statements and supplementary information as audited by KPMG, as well as for both the deferred comp and our defined benefit plan. We also had a update from Mr. Houston. We also had an update from Ms. Lynn on the audit projects, and then we reviewed the due diligence performed by the audit staff. Upcoming, officially the start date of Ms. Joanne Collins as our new Chief Compliance Officer is July 6th, and the audit staff is going to dig in with legal some of the cybersecurity risks of independent of some of our advisors and what risk that might pose to us on the board. So I have a motion, if that's in order, Mr. Chairman.
You have the floor.
I move that the State Employees Retirement Board accept the audited financial statements of the Commonwealth Pennsylvania State Employees Retirement System and the State Employees Retirement System Deferred Compensation Plan for years ended December 31st, 2020 and 2019 as presented by our independent auditors, KPMG LLP.
It's been properly moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Anyone on the question? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Aye.
Chuck Erdman on behalf of Senator DeSanto?
Aye.
Chair Philman?
Aye.
Dan Ocko on behalf of Representative Frankel?
Aye.
Treasurer Garrity?
Aye.
Excuse me. Senator Tony Marchowski on behalf of Senator Hughes?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Representative Schemmel?
Aye.
Ms. Soderberg? I see your mouth. Okay, thank you, Mary. Mr. Thal?
Aye.
And Secretary Vague?
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous.
Okay.
And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chair Thal. We now go to the Investment Committee. Chair Becker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, everyone. Our meeting...
Glenn, you froze.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I had my iPad just blanked out. I'm on the phone, so you won't see me.
Okay.
But our meeting was called to order at 10:34. We had two updates on the portfolio. Bill Trong as a fixed income transition update, and Jim Nolan provided the rebalancing update. We had the quarterly performance analysis by Callan. Tom Shingler provided the information on the defined benefit plan, and Bud Palekcia on the deferred comp and the defined contribution plans. We then had a private equity opportunity presentation, and this would be a follow-on investment with Insight Partners. Fund 12 is being formed to pursue investments in growth stage software and software-enabled services and internet businesses. By an 8-to-1 vote, the motion was passed to recommend to the board a $50 million investment. And if I may read make the motion,
Go ahead.
A motion is in order to recommend that the State Employees Retirement Board commit up to $50 million to Insight Partners 12 LP, plus investment expenses and pro rata share of partnership operating expenses, consistent with executed partnership documents as a follow-on investment within the private equity asset class, subject to successful completion of contract negotiations and execution, and delivery of closing documents by all parties, including required Commonwealth legal approvals within 12 months.
Been properly moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Anyone on the question? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Aye.
Chuck Erdman on behalf of Senator DeSanto?
Aye.
Chair Philman?
Aye.
Dan Ocko on behalf of Representative Frankel?
Aye.
Treasurer Garrity?
I'm voting no, and the reason is because of the fee terms. So there's heavy allocation to tech in its private equity portfolio and overall, over which private equity, in addition, there's no third-party administrator or SOC 1, no third-party valuation, or no entertainment reporting policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Treasurer. Tony Markowski on behalf of Senator Jordan.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Representative Schemmel?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to vote no as well. I believe that private equity poses too much of a risk, I think, for our plan. And Mr. Chair, in the future, if you would give a little more time, I tried to raise my hand in time to make comments during the appropriate time, but wasn't recognized. So thank you.
Okay, I apologize for that.
Okay. Ms. Soderberg?
Aye.
Mr. Thal?
Aye.
Secretary Vay?
No.
Thank you. That would be 8 yeses and 3 nos. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. We also had two reports.
Excuse me, Chairman Becker. This is Joe Marcucci, the council.
Yes.
On this item, I just want to raise a matter that may need some correction in the records, and I thought we should do this publicly. I am looking at the report of the investment committee that is on board docs, and I believe there's a Scrivener's error in this report because on this particular motion, the Insight Partners, the report lists the vote as 9 yeses and 0 nos. And my recollection, Treasurer Garrity, is that you had voted no on that matter?
That's correct.
All right. So I would just like to note that for the record, and that it was an 8-1 vote, and we will have this report fixed in the minutes of the committee when the committee minutes come through to be corrected accordingly.
Okay, thank you. And I, in my comments, I believe I did say it was an 8-1 vote.
You did.
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. We did have 2 reports for review as informational items, the private equity annual report update and the real estate annual board update. Both of those can be found on board docs. We did break for executive session to discuss personnel matter. When we resumed the public session, it was unanimously moved to recommend that the board appoint Deputy CIO Jim Nolan as acting CIO following the resignation of Seth Kelly. So I would like to make the motion now. I move that the State Employees Retirement Board accept the recommendation of the Investment Committee to appoint Deputy Chief Investment Officer James G. Nolan as acting Chief Investment Officer with the powers and duties of the Chief Investment Officer for appointment to be effective June 11, 2021 and continue until the board determines otherwise. And the board approves and grants James G. Nolan a temporary 5% hourly pay increase effective June 11, 2021, and to continue until the board determines otherwise.
It's been properly moved. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
I hear a second. Anyone on the question? Anyone on the question? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Aye.
Chuck Erdman on behalf of Senator DeSanto?
Aye.
Chair Philman?
Aye.
Dan Acco on behalf of Representative Frankel.
Aye.
Treasurer Garrity.
Aye.
Tony Marchowski on behalf of Senator Hughes.
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Representative Schemmel.
Aye.
Ms. Soderberg.
Aye.
Mr. Thal.
Aye.
Secretary Begg.
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. There being no further business, our meeting was adjourned at 12:34, and that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Chair Becker. We'll now have the Finance and Member Services Committee, and this is the last time that Chair Soderberg will wear two hats for two committees. So, Chair Soderberg, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, sir. The Finance and Member Services Committee met yesterday afternoon at 1 p.m. on June 8th. First order of business was to approve the minutes of April 28th. And please, I want to note that my full report is on board docs, as well as some of the, or not some, but all of the reports that were submitted as part of our committee. The first order of business was a special presentation by our consultants, Korn Ferry and Callan, and they did an overview of the assumed rate of return, actuarial assumption, and its relationship to capital market expectations. This is something that we revisited. We actually reduced our assumptions last year and the year before, and given that we've got new board members, we spent a whole hour yesterday just reviewing the process, the numbers involved, the fact that this is a 30-year projection, and we will be discussing it further at our July meeting on July 27th, 28th. That was followed with an update on the Office of Financial Management by our Chief Financial Officer, Sarah McSorley. Sarah has reported that the negotiations are final with the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education regarding a lump sum advance payment for their unfunded liability. And as such, the payment of $825 million has been made and is in the process of being invested within the CSRS fund. So that is excellent news, and I want to compliment all the staff that did all the work, not only on this advance payment, but also on the Penn State one as well. This was really something that had never been done before and really took a lot of effort by our in-house accountants, by our outside independent accountants, and it all went very smoothly as a result of everyone's good effort, so thank you. Sarah also reported that the per participant assessment for our employee defined contribution plan has been slightly reduced to $165.64 for the year 21-22. And those billings will take place beginning in, employer billings will take place in the beginning of the fiscal year. Sarah also did an overview of the highlights of our audited financial statements for calendar year 2020, and those statements are posted on board docs for your more detailed review. Then Joe Torta presented the 2020 Actuary Evaluation Report distribution, which is also, he presented the reports, but he also gave an update on the status of the RFP for a contract for actuary for the board, and that should be finalized in the coming month or two. And finally, I would just like to recognize one of our staff members, Dave Tarsi, who is going to be retiring after 20 years a week from this Friday. He's been a very valuable member of the Office of Member and Participant Service, and I know we will miss him. And we all wish Dave well. So thank you very much. And, sir, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report. There are no motions for the board to take on, and our next meeting of the Finance and Member Services Committee is scheduled to be either on July 27th or 28th. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Soderberg. Okay, the next report is the Board Governance and Personnel Committee report. That is, I will give that report. We met yesterday, June 8th, 2021, at 2:55 p.m. All members of the committee, either the member or designee, were in attendance. We also had other board members as well as staff in attendance. The first piece of business was our SERS fiduciary review and board self-assessment, a final report with implementation recommendations. Chris Houston gave that report, going over the details as far as finally getting this into implementation. The following committee assignments were made. The Investment Committee has 20 recommendations. The Board Governance and Personnel Committee, 28 recommendations. And Audit, Risk, and Compliance Committee, 1 recommendation. And the committee staff will be working with their respective committees to review the assigned recommendations. Also, there was a discussion on the SERS strategic business plan. It was an update. Staff provided a progress report on the fiscal year 2020 and 2021 goals in our SERS strategic business plan. We then went into an executive session to discuss salary adjustments and executive director search. Following discussion in executive session, the committee took action on the following matters. Salary adjustments. The committee took action to approve the following salary adjustments effective the beginning of the next pay period, which is June 19th, 2021. Michael McGooey, Assistant Chief Financial Officer, at the new hourly rate of $64.58, and Sarah McSurdy, Chief Financial Officer, the new hourly rate of $86.51. The adjustments are the complete purview of the Personnel and Governance Committee, and that does not require a motion from the General Board. However, it was voted unanimously by the board members for approval of these adjustments. We then went into the executive director search. As you recall, last meeting I announced that Terry Sanchez was retiring on July 2nd. In light of the fact that as you heard in the investment committee, there's going to be a search for the CIO. Terry Sanchez has graciously delayed her retirement until the end of this year, which gives us time to recruit a new executive director. So the committee took action to recommend that the State Employees Retirement Board direct the Board Governance and Personnel Committee and SERS staff to conduct a search for the executive director candidates. It was unanimous in that recommendation, and I do have a motion to be moved before the board. I move that the State Employees Retirement Board accept the recommendation of the Board Governance and Personnel Committee to direct the Board Governance and Personnel Committee and SERS staff to conduct a search for executive director candidates. I move that. Do I hear a second?
Second.
I hear a second. Anyone on the question? Anyone on the question? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Becker?
Aye.
Mr. Erdman, on behalf of Senator DeSanto?
Aye.
Chair Philman?
Aye.
Mr. Acco, on behalf of Representative Frankel?
Aye.
Treasurer Garrity?
Aye.
Ms. Marchowski, on behalf of Senator Hughes?
Aye.
Mr. Jordan?
Aye.
Representative Schemmel?
Aye.
Ms. Soderberg?
Aye.
Mr. Thal? Mr. Thal?
Aye.
Thank you. Secretary Begg?
Aye.
Thank you. Unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much. And finally, the SERS staff will be working with the Board Governance and Personnel Committee on the recruitment for the executive director position. That concludes my report, which is also can be found on the board docs. With that, we go into the rest of the agenda. Old business, there is none. New business, there is none. Special presentations, we have none. Reports of executive director and agency staff. Executive Director Terry Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairman. Board members, you will find an item 9A on board docs. My administrative update. I will just provide some highlights here. In terms of our continuity of operations plan, consistent with the strategic business plan goal to evaluate and modernize our plan by December 31, 2021, we did conduct a 3-month COOP review and update, including a tabletop exercise that we had, I'm sorry, a little blurry there, that we had last month. The review included 3 components, if you will, continuity training for quite a number of staff, a review of the actual continuity of operations plan, and a tabletop exercise, as I said, that we did last week. So we have, actually it was not as difficult as it may have been prior to the pandemic that we had this past year. That was a real life actual plan that we had to put into place and actions that we had to take. But it's always a good idea to review the continuity of operations plan and look forward to other types of situations that might occur. So that went very well. And we are at this time working on an after action report. And as a result of that action, after action report, we'll be making further improvements to our plan. So we always want to be at the ready to take care of the system and our members and participants. There's a CERIS 2.0 update also in my administrative update. We continue to have, actually there are daily meetings with CERS staff and InfoMatrix, our contractor. We continue to work on the development, testing, and correction of defects and implementation planning for CERIS 2.0. In addition to those meetings with staff, there are executive leadership meetings that take place both with CERS executive leadership and InfoMatrix to keep close tabs on the advancement of this very critical project, and we are looking to wrap the project up this calendar year. We've really focused our efforts on putting processes in place that will ensure the smooth operations and the smooth implementation of, again, this very critical project. So we're very optimistic that this will be the year that it actually gets implemented. We're also working on our post-temporary telework plan. We've been working with the Commonwealth's Office of Administration since actually May of last year as part of a broader Commonwealth-wide initiative to complete a telework plan that will help us to very thoughtfully and carefully transition from this post-temporary telework program to a more permanent telework plan. The goal is to have the plan completed in July, and then we will start to implement that plan. And the plan does include a list of action items that we need to complete to implement this post-temporary telework plan. It will be in alignment with the Commonwealth's Office of Administration's Management Directive and numerous policies, current and future, of CERS. And really what we want to do is to ensure a quality telework experience for staff while we continue to provide the highest levels of customer service to our members and our participants. Also in my administrative report, you will find a wrap-up, but we won't need to go into that because I have a couple of more months to wrap up, if you will. Next is the legislative update. You will find just a few notes on a number of bills, our appropriation bills that are moving through the General Assembly. We've reviewed a number of co-sponsorship memos as well that we hadn't had the actual language for the bills, but we have received the memos and we're keeping our eye on those things that would impact us. And we continue to have our ongoing meetings with various legislative leaders, and I believe that they are going quite well. And then finally, Chairman, for the I have one board adjudication result to report on, and that is a result of the notational ballot for the account of Timothy Collins. And by order, April 9, 2021, the board opened the record of the proceeding to allow the Pennsylvania Office of Administration, the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, and the Pennsylvania Department of Education the opportunity to intervene in this appeal. The Department of Corrections did file a notice of intervention on May 6th, and the other agencies did not intervene. So in accordance with the order dated April 9, 2021, the appeal is to be remanded to the hearing officer to receive additional evidence and legal argument. And that concludes my report, Chairman, unless there are any questions.
Any questions for Terry? Okay, seeing none, there are no other reports. Unless there's objection, we will go in executive session. And Joe, can you tee us up?
Thank you, Chairman. There are two items on the executive session agenda. One is the regular review of the pending benefits and administration litigation. That'll be done by Deputy Chief Counsel Catherine Nolan. And then there is the report on referrals of prospective or in existing investment transactions or contracts, which is presented by our Chief Compliance Officer. The Sunshine Act does allow an executive session for the board to consult with its lawyers regarding information or strategy in connection with litigation or issues on ongoing litigation, and to review and discuss agency business that would violate the attorney-client privilege if discussed in public. Both of the agenda items fall within these categories and are appropriate subjects for executive session.
With that, we will now go into executive session.
Before we enter executive session, please give us a minute to make a few technical changes in the boardroom, and we'll. As a reminder, this meeting of the SERS Board of Directors is being recorded and live streamed. Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we are now out of executive session. Board comments, announcements, dates to remember. Our next meeting of the SERB, the State Employees Retirement Board, is July 27-28 of 2021. Unless anyone has any final comments, I see none. A motion is in order to adjourn. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved. Second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy part of the summer into July, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. This meeting's adjourned.
Thanks all.
Thank you.